Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Mega Sasuke, and welcome back to another cool YouTube video. So today, guys, we're gonna be playing Company Heroes 2. I'm just gonna be showing you like new strategies I've learned, all that kind of stuff with the British faction, like the meta as it currently is. I'm so sorry I haven't touched on this topic for a very long time. I know a lot of you guys who follow me because you wanted to know more about more updated content on Company Heroes 2 and more updated kind of like strategy gameplay videos on this particular game. So as you guys probably already know, I have been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege lately. That's been like monopoly of my game time's been spent on that. That's actually my most played game now on Steam. So it's actually overlapped Company Heroes 2 in terms of time played. But that being said, guys, I still know a lot about this game. I still have a big passion for it, big passion for playing as a British faction, especially online. So hopefully this will be of help to you guys, especially the guys that just picked the game up and want to learn more about it. So hope you guys enjoy the video. If there's anything else you guys want to know or anything like that, or any suggestions you have for future videos, please leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But yeah, with that being said, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Thanks, guys. Yeah, guys, welcome back. And today we're going to be playing as the British faction yet again. I want to make sure, like, the British faction being my focus faction for this kind of like series I'm doing, as I've only really ever played Britain as a competitive faction or during like against other players and things like that. I only really play this faction because it's my strongest faction and because I understand it a little bit more than the others. It's kind of like the meta for this faction is, I don't know, it just interests me more than say the Germans or the US or the Soviet forces at all. So with that being said, guys, let's crack on. Bit of a recap from last video we did. I know we talked a lot about these three main concepts being pathways, prioritization, reserving. Just a quick little recap we'll do right now. So obviously the pathways are like your dedicated things you can do in your headquarters, like setting rally points basically, so that way you don't have to micromanage where each individual unit spawns in and moves. You just do it from the start so they move there automatically. Prioritization, learning what to push out first as part of your strategy, like learning what unit you want to come out first versus a unit you can wait on. Basically, you don't need to get it out straight away or spend all your resources on. So that's prioritization, and of course, reserving, having multiple units to back the other unit up. Always making sure that you have a reserve force for a very critical unit, so that way if that unit dies, you always have that reserve unit to bolster it back up and continue to hold the position or fight the objective. So those are just the three main concepts that we alluded to last game, or not last time we played this in the previous YouTube video. I'll leave the link at the end of the video to that previous video so you guys know. But obviously today is going to be not so much me just taking it super slow. I'm actually going to try to like move this as fast as I can and kind of give you a more realistic perspective of how the British faction is played. So obviously, first of all, we got the machine gun unit out while we were talking. I had to spawn that in. Obviously, I'd be a lot more quicker with this if I wasn't talking at all. But we'll get this unit out straight away, because like I said in the previous video, getting a machine gun team for your faction is priority one when it comes to playing British. As I've done up here, I built a little sandbag wall just deep of the objective, so that way if the enemy does push onto it, which they will eventually, maybe, potentially, if they don't get beat back by the AI, they will try to take it, and at least you have like a little staging area back here where they'll have to push off the objective to take you out, but you've got the advantage being further away. So we got the machine gun pit there. It's facing a really good direction. It's the direction I want it to face, to the right flank, just in case they try to flank my rifle squad here on the right. But yeah, that's out straight away. We can get the Bofors upgraded for later on. And we're going to choose a commander. So we didn't choose a commander last video because I didn't want you guys to get confused. I want you guys to learn the basics and those three main concepts. But today we're going to choose the most chosen faction commander, which is the Advanced Replacement Regiment commander. You're saying commander so much. He's going to allow our rifle squads to build defensive positions instead of having to save up and pay for engineers. We'll get engineers eventually. Strictly probably towards the end of the game, if I get the anvil tactic, I believe that'll be when I'll use engineers, because then I can use the heavy engineer ability to repair and get things done quicker on the defensive position. yeah, that being said, we're getting all our units out. We're getting another rifle squad because we can afford it. But now what I'm going to do, because I have enough resources, we can get the Bofors. We can get the Bofors pretty much straight away, and that'll be an essential key component for the early part of the game. And we usually would, but we're pretty covered in the center. The center star point is pretty well covered by me and the allies. So we're just going to push them out to the right flank. We're going to try to set up a field position here on this point if we can clear these infantrymen out. We'll garrison there, we'll try to win that fight. But, oh yeah, that's one thing I didn't talk about last gameplay we did. I never talked about the whole concept of building fuel caches and munition caches on points. You can do that, guys. So basically on these standard points here, these standard territory points, certain factions are allowed or are capable of placing munitions or fuel cache points on these objectives. I think this, I thought they were going to do it then. Oh, they are. So yep. So as you can see, the AI is already done. This is perfect for the video. So the AI is already building a munitions cache on this particular territory point. Now what that's going to allow us to do is going to increase the number value here on the territory point from +5 to, I don't know what the specific value is, but it'll increase that to a much higher value. We'll see it's +10, so it pretty much doubles the munition capability of this particular point, which is pretty useful, guys. Like, especially for late game. If you guys play this game enough, you'll understand that resources become pretty pertinent, especially towards the late game when you're starting to pay for those heavy vehicles, those heavy tanks. So while that's going on, we'll get the Bofors now because we can afford it. It's a feasible cost. We'll put it right here behind this point here. Covering 2 points, why not? So, as I said in my previous video with the Bofors cannon, you want to kind of make sure that it can cover more than one particular direction, if possible, two or more. It's got basically a 360 degree arc of fire, so it can turn and face anywhere in a 360 degree radius. But it's always good to have it close to an objective point, so if they do start capping it, it can fire, it's within range. And see that the red outline, you'll tell if it's in range by the red outline. That's like its firing distance for shooting enemies. Obviously, if it's obstructed by a field of view, it won't be able to shoot through it unless you can see them. Yeah, it should be able to fire in that range. So there's our Bofors cannon, so that'll be important. You'll see it probably go to work very soon. We'll get a mortars pit as well. I usually try to get the mortar pit out before the Bofors, but because we have enough resources, we can afford to get it out straight away. And you can see down the mini-map here, this yellow kind of like shaded area, that's the range the mortars can hit at. So that's pretty good. So we'll put one back here, just behind the Bofors, so the Bofors can cover it, the machine gun can cover it. It's pretty well protected, it's not going to get hit by infantry, and vehicles will find it difficult to take it out. So we got a platoon command post, we'll get 2 anti-tank guns, we can justify, actually we'll get 1. We'll get 2 because we can afford I was getting worried then because I thought I couldn't afford a fuel cache, but we can. So build a fuel cache here, on this point here. This will increase the fuel output to about 6 or 8 maybe. And that'll be good for late game when fuel is important, especially for Britain as well. The defensive positions like the Bofors and the anti-tank gun, they require fuel as well to build. But mortars are ready straight into work as soon as we build them. They'll be so useful for this defensive position here. And we're pretty much covered here for now. We just got to get these anti-tank guns up and we should be able to counter all of these. Just out of range, but as soon as they get in range they'll get hit by my Bofors. Gonna get hit by my mortars, which they're getting hit by. So yeah, guys. So I know it's not going to be a very like kind of like formal sort of strategy gameplay episode. I just kind of want to like play and then like as I go to give you more of a realistic sense of it. Play as I go and explain as I go, basically, so you guys get a better feel for it. Because I know last time was a bit more slow, obviously, because I just wanted to get those basics down. But now I think, you know, after it's been a while since I played it, so hopefully you've improved your game. But I think I can explain as I go. Maybe you guys will pick something up, or maybe, you know, if there's something that I did that was stupid or wrong, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll have a look at it. And maybe I might use that in my next gameplay when I play online. But this is just kind of, yeah, informal. Just treat this as informal. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's my personal preference. I do this because it works for me. It might not work for everyone. One of the biggest, dude, that guy got hammered. It was just one dude by himself. Another thing I didn't touch on in the previous video, guys, was the use of weapons in this game, the ranging of weapons, and the accuracy and all that kind of shit. There is statistical like data out there for like the specifics of each individual weapon and what unit's worth coming out. But you don't really need to look at the statistics to get a good feel for them. You can just play them really, and then you'll understand how they operate and how they work. So I think it's a little bit too extra to go to that full length, if you know what I mean. Like statistically analyzing, unless you're into that, unless you're really competitive and you really want to like have that edge over the enemy. I don't see there's not really a need for it, in my opinion. But hey, each to their own, I guess. Each to their own. So I'm just kind of like moving these anti-tank guns in place, cover the front line, the front arc, most likely enemy approach, and then obviously this is the flank where we saw that half track come through before. He could come back that way, so position my anti-tank gun behind the sandbag wall once it's built, and you've pretty much got a solid defense here. You got both his mortars, anti-tank guns, and a rifle squad to help build and repair, right? At this point we've got a rifle squad just kind of like holding the point, stopping these guys from pushing into this objective. Got a range advantage, but the honestly the Panzer Grenadiers are just a far superior infantry unit. Got better weapons than that, so if they get some heavy cover, they'll probably beat us. It's engagement, yeah. They're probably gonna beat us here. Oh, we got a machine gun unit here as well. Yeah, we're definitely get the bug out soon, but we'll hold it as long as possible. That'll just delay them from getting the point. Yeah. So we've got I'm going to be using vehicles for this gameplay, this kind of like strategy gameplay. So we'll be pumping out units soon. I might start, I'm not sure if I'll start with an AA gun. Might as well, because they've still got light vehicles and that. It could be useful for flanking and kind of like supporting our units, like this one here that's about to die. It's probably going to die. Yeah, it's probably going to die. I should have probably paid more attention to that. I didn't realize there's 3 units. I thought there was only 2. Oh, well, that's my fault. But we actually got out there, so it's not all bad news, eh? Alrighty, so I'm gonna set a waypoint for this munition, this fuel cache here, because I don't want them to take it, because it'll be a pain in the ass. To just be a waste of 200 manpower, and I don't want to waste that if I'm just gonna lose it straight away. But we're looking pretty good. As obviously, guys, as you can see, the AI is not that difficult. I'm just doing this, like I said, for instructional purposes again. And this is the first game I've actually played in an extremely long time, so maybe the meta's changed for online play. I'll have to check that again. I'll have to actually play some more online to tell you how it's going. And that's if people still play this game. I wonder if they still play this game. That'd be interesting. I wonder if they really do still play this game. It's 5 years, man. This game's been out for 5 years. It's been a long time. So I'm not sure if everyone's still loyal to the game or not, but we'll see. We'll see. At this point, we've got all the essentials. We've got everything we need for a strong defense with the British players. So now this is where I wanted to take the main focus of this game. I wanted to kind of like shift it towards aggressive playing with the British faction. Now we don't see it very much. You'll see online players won't actually be that aggressive. They won't be very aggressive at all when they play British. They'll find a point, they'll hunker down, and that'll be it. Like that'll be the end of their game, and they'll have to rely on their American friends or the American allies or the Soviet allies to do aggressive pushes, which I think, in my opinion, is not very good at all. I feel like as a British player, because you have so much resource at your disposal, you can kind of make a staging point for your allies to push through, but you're also able to push with them. You know, you have access to vehicles just the same as Soviets or British. You know, don't just be that guy that expects them to do everything for you. I mean, even though you're like, oh, well, technically, you know, I should just be here holding the start point. You shouldn't be. You should be moving constantly and trying to help them where you can. Sending vehicles to support them on their pushes, which is what I'm going to do right here with my Centaur AA. I'm not using it on the point. It's doing nothing. It's just sitting there wasting time. Might as well use it for something. So yeah, that's just a bit of word to the wise, you know. Don't be that guy that just lets their team crumble because they were too because you just say that your meta is to just hold the point. It's not, right? There you go. I'm triggered. That's my triggered ranting going. Don't be lazy, guys. Join in the fight. Help your team out. Alrighty, so we've obviously got the weapons rack. We might as well get the one Bren gun and the one Piat. Alrighty, so we missed the attack there. We've got to push back. I'm going to hold this point here because I feel like they're pushing there. My allies have just shifted their focus completely away from it. But yeah, so that's, I don't know, we've kind of got the main stuff out of the way. We're seeing a bit more, you know, vehicle play from me. I need to get another vehicle out. I want to save up to get the Sherman. We can get it. As soon as I said that, we can afford it. We'll use that to hit their armor if they ever eventually get armor out. I will show you actually, because the AI is not that difficult, I will show you how to use vehicles, or the best way in my opinion to use vehicles. I usually like getting 2 vehicles max for a pincer attack on, you know, German heavy vehicles. For obvious reason, one pins it. It's kind of like hammer and anvil, basically. Oh, super old tactic used back in, you know, the days of Alexander the Great, and that it's pretty effective. It still works. Like it's a how do I explain it? It's a tactic that it's just like it's not an outdated tactic at all. You can use it throughout all of history, all historical like warfighting games. It's useful, in my opinion. You know, whether that's Total War, Company Heroes, Dawn of War, any RTS game, hammer and anvil tactics work like a charm. I feel like it's almost expected from those games to win battles. So yeah, we can get the upgrades for it. Tulips don't really do much. Like they do a lot, but they cost so much to use effectively. We might as well get it. We got so much resources because we're just absolutely hammering this AI faction. Alrighty, so this is good because it's a video for you guys. So like if I say something too fast or if I kind of like brush over something really quickly, you guys can go back and rewatch it. Like I said, this is just an informal kind of strategy guide to playing the British faction, and kind of more of a realistic one, because last game it wasn't that realistic. It was just me showing you the basics, what to do and what not to do. Might move this back here. Oh no, I won't. There's no point. What's the point of doing that? It gets so boring. Like once you've like kind of done everything you can on the map, like, I can't really build any more points. Alright, well I'm gonna push this up here. I'm gonna show you what I mean by tactics. So we're gonna push this tank up here. So obviously, like I said in the previous game, this thing is amazing at chopping up infantry. It's like a mobile Bofors cannon, except it's only 20 mil, not 40 mil. This thing will shred through infantry and buildings. So we'll get one to pin, and then the rear unit will flank around. That's kind of like how it works, man. Even though this isn't the most ideal tank for taking out infantry, this is kind of like the ideal sort of like strategy. One pins, one comes in and smashes it from the side. There you go. See, like that's what just died straight away. It works better with vehicles. If you pin someone with like not a really valuable vehicle, but it can soak up a lot of damage, do that. And I think someone said to me before, the Churchill tank, I criticized it heavily last game because I was like, oh yeah, it's, you know, it's supposed to have all this armor, but it's just useless and this and that. I didn't like using it. I tried playing it on another casual game before this one, and it does work as like a kind of like a bullet sponge, or like an ammunition sponge for the enemy tanks, where they'll be focusing on trying to take it out because it's so heavily armored. You can use your Shermans to flank and actually deal the damage itself. I don't know. It does work a little bit, I guess. But we've got the anvil tactics now, so we'll save up. We'll try to get the Churchill. Hopefully before we either win or anything like that. Alright, so we got a machine gun pit here. Again, same thing with tanks. You want to make sure one's just standing there taking all the damage, and the other one's actually shooting and moving. It's kind of the ideal setup. Obviously you don't want to do that for everything, you just want to kind of keep it. Certain things, I don't know. But yeah, like you can do a lot of damage with just 2 tanks. You don't need more than 2, in my opinion. You just save resources, and that way, like if you lose one, you can afford to buy a new one. Versus sending like 3 or 4 in. I mean, obviously, this game is all dependent on numbers as well. It's a numbers game as well. Like, if you have more troops than them, you can easily overwhelm them. You have more tanks than them, you can easily overwhelm them, etc., etc. But in my opinion, as a British faction, because you do spend a lot of population room and a lot of like resources on static defense, like Bofors, mortars, machine guns, anti-tank guns, it's ideal to probably just go for the two. So if you play British, my advice is to just go for the two tanks, and just build static defenses as you go. So as you push up the line, as you take more points, you can probably build more static defensive positions, but obviously that's a population thing. You don't have the pop room guys, you can't do it. So two tanks. I don't usually use this combination. I usually use two Sherman Fireflies. That's because, I don't know, I'm a little bit more advanced in my strategy. Like, I try to bait a Panther or a Tiger to try to hunt down my Sherman, and then while they're doing that, they don't realize there's another Sherman going around them and shooting them in the side and the rear. And that's the way I like to do it, like pincer attacks almost, more than anything, more than hammer and anvil, because like I said in the previous video, Sherman Fireflies don't have a lot of health. They can get damaged really quickly because they got the Sherman chassis, which isn't very heavy. So they're really susceptible to getting like pumped by heavier tanks. So they're more pincer-like movements. I don't want them to get hit. I want to like shoot the retreat and bait them into an attack, or bait them into a flank or an ambush, and hit them again with another Sherman Firefly or an anti-tank gun on a defensive position. That's the way I kind of do things. But obviously that's a little bit more advanced. So I'd usually go two Sherman Fireflies. I wouldn't even bother with this Centaur. I don't really need it unless I'm clearing it. Unless I'm going for their base, I'll get this, and then I'll get another Sherman. So I have two Shermans and this to attack their base directly, because this will clear out the bunkers pretty quickly and kill any like anti-tank infantry relatively quickly because of the twin 20mm pulsing guns on top, which will just shred infantry, man. Absolutely shred. And it's got enough armor in it to defend for a little bit, like medium armor. Like, see, this thing's got hectic range. This thing can shoot all the way from back here. Probably shoot this thing, to be honest. Yeah, it can shoot the building. That's a crazy range, man. So, Sherman Fireflies, in my opinion, are probably your go-to tank for British if you want to, like, take out their tanks. It's probably the only option you really have to take out the enemy tanks. Unless they push an objective where your anti-tank guns will be waiting. And that's just an ideal sort of way of looking at things. But I don't think the AI is going to be able to get tank sets, so I won't be able to illustrate that point, or I won't be able to show you that point effectively. But just for the video's sake, I'll get a Churchill infantry tank. I'll show you what they do, what they're supposed to do. They're kind of like for your hammer and anvil, alright? So these, if you're gonna get the Churchill, get one of the Churchills, get one Sherman Firefly. That's kind of in my opinion, that'd be like the kind of like meta for that setup. That tank setup. Have one Churchill tank and one Sherman Firefly. You'll get the hammer and anvil going, and happy days, you know. Happy days. We're kind of probably just gonna like base rape them soon, just only because they're easy. And we've been playing for almost 20 something minutes, 23 minutes. So this video will be ended soon, so I might as well finish them off and end this video quick. So I'll show you a British strategy, kind of like push. So I get my rifle. Where are my rifle squads? There's one there. Alright. I'm gonna get a Piat and a Bren. These guys are still at base, aren't they? No, they're not. Where are they? Not there. Oh, they're there. Alright. We're gonna get a British push soon. So we get two infantry squads up to the vehicles. Wait, did I get a Bren? No, I didn't. Get a Bren. Yeah, this thing's heavy, man. This thing is just like a bullet sponge, but it's got like not a very good cannon on it, so it won't do very well against heavy tanks. Light tanks, yeah. Heavy tanks, nah. Just forget about it. Alright, so we got a Panther here. And Panzer. Must have buffed Shermans, because before they could get damage from Panzers. Alright, well I'll show you what I mean. I'll get a kind of like hammer and anvil with this. if I can get it pinned. If I don't kill it with my Paulsons from the rear. Yeah, that vehicle's probably dead. I don't even need it, man. Yeah, rip. Yeah, I'll use the AA Centaur to, or the Sherman. The Sherman's really good at taking out these machine gun bunkers. Maybe because it's just a heavier cannon or something. I don't know how it works. Trying to get the heavy panzers out. I could let them do it, but we're running out of time. I want to get this video done soon, so you guys don't have to sit here any longer and listen to me ramble on about the factions. Man, but I hope you guys learned something like a little bit more about this game. By no means am I the best at this game, or by no means am I an expert, but as playing as a British faction, I understand how they operate and how they work, the best way to use them, in my opinion. Kind of hammer and anvil. But now we've cleared the machine gun pits, we're able to move our infantry in, and they'll be able to support our vehicles, taking out enemy infantry as well. So we get one building, and we get one shooting at enemies. Yeah. That's pretty much it That's pretty much about it, guys. This is the kind of push I go for. I try to build a sandbag wall just to give that extra protection against air infantry. That'll just give him like a little bit more, you know what I mean? A little bit more to work with. Obviously you got artillery strikes, we won't use them because we can't in the base. Thank God they got rid of that. There used to be a thing where like you'd be able to use RT strikes and like on the base. It was just so dog. But thank God they got rid of it. I got Panthers. Alright, cool. So this is actually a good opportunity to do it. Okay, I'm gonna move this Sherman Firefly around. Get it to soak up some damage. This is more of a pincer attack than a hammer and anvil. Well, it would be hammer and anvil because they're engaging each other. Tulip rockets, why not? Just send it. Just kill it. So that's what I mean, guys. Like, just shit like that. Just using tanks. One is a bullet sponge. Obviously, this would be you try to make this your bullet sponge because it's got the most armor, and then use this because it's more heavy hitting to take them out. They seem to buff the Sherman Firefly. I feel like they have since last time I played it. Could just be me though. It seems a lot more effective. Like it's good against more than just one thing. You know what I mean? Alright, so hammer and anvil again. I'm just gonna pin this Stug. Hopefully it engages my Centaur. Will probably. And this is a good opportunity to show you the Piats as well. So we get the Piats on them. And look at that. Already beat them. No sweat, no dramas, eh? So we'll just speed up the process from here. I'll probably just mute my mic and then just finish these guys off. But yeah guys, anyway, thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching. I really do appreciate it. You guys are I hope this was informative. It's not as, like I said, informal as the last one, but I hope it's informative a little bit more into like kind of the mindset of playing as a British player online, or anything like that. Even if you're just versing a friend, like if you just want to 1v1 your friend, this is probably the best way to beat them. Is to make a solid defensive position on a point, and then use your vehicles and your infantry to make pushes. That's kind of like the main focus. I'll end the video on that note because, like, obviously we know we're gonna win this. You don't really sit around for like the next 600 victory points. So, like I said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this kind of stuff. Let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more of this kind of Comedy Heroes or any kind of strategy video. I'll be more than happy to talk about it. I do want to release a video soon on the new Jurassic World game. I've been playing it recently, been quite enjoying it. But from like a gameplay side of aspect, there's not really much I can talk about. It's just kind of a bit of fun playing as dinosaurs and that, and like building your own park. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you dislike it. This is me, Mega Sasuke, and I'll see you guys next time.